My neighbors have been vacuuming for, I'm not kidding, the last 2 hours. So if they don't stop soon, I'm gonna lose my mind. But hey y'all, I am back and I have more of your Let's Not Meet stories that I'm super nervous to read. I picked out 4 stories because the first 2 are a little bit shorter, so I thought I would even it out. But we'll see how it goes. I'm just praying that they stop vacuuming soon. This first story says, to the soulless-eyed couple, I hope you burn in hell. And I know this is gonna be fucking good by that title. This is future Courtney talking. I just read this story and I know I said it was going to be good. It was terrifying and it was terrible. Trigger warning, torture and essay. It doesn't go into like super detail, a little bit of detail on the torture, just like a little bit, but not too bad. But just trigger warning. Hi, I wanted to tell this story as a warning to all, man or woman, trust cautiously, and most certainly always trust your instincts. On to the story. So, back in 2020, my mother and I, 21 female at the time, got back in contact with a family friend. We'll call them H for safety and anonymity. I can't say that word. This truly fucked them up. Anyway, we started frequenting their home and they would often tell us about their friends. The friends were a couple. These friends lived in the same neighborhood and they would often drink and smoke together, sometimes doing makeup for date nights and other things. I was shown a picture of the woman whose makeup was all done up. Even through a photo, she looked soulless, I guess you could say. Well, one day my mom and I arrived at H's home to visit. They were on their porch smoking and I went to greet H. There was a man there chatting with H and I immediately felt uncomfortable. I felt cold and hot all at the same time. The most I could do was greet him politely. He felt off. He smiled, but there was nothing in those eyes. Something told me absolutely to not shake his hand or even partake in the conversation. He left sometime after. I never mentioned to H what I felt. Until a few weeks later. On the local news, both the man and woman were arrested for the murder of a 36-year-old woman whom they lured into their home and told her they would provide her a place to live. During that time, she was tortured mercilessly, bedbound by zip ties, chains, and dog collars. She was essayed, strangled afterward, and then dismembered to be stuffed in an upright freezer. He and his girlfriend are both on a $1 million bond and are awaiting the decision on the death penalty. I would also later find out the man had attempted to kidnap another woman back in 2015. She was fortunate to get away from the psycho. He was indicted with aggravated R and kidnapping then. Why he was let back out into the world again, I don't know. I hope for peace for the victims of these atrocious crimes and for the soulless-eyed couple. Go to hell. I hope we never meet again. Holy fuck. I'm gonna have to put a trigger warning at the beginning of that because that was bad. That was really bad. Oh, that was so bad. Oh my God, I can't believe you came in contact with those people. I cannot believe that. And thank God nothing happened to H because H could have easily been in that situation. We're done. We're done with this one. This next one says, I believe I came across a serial killer, which seems to be a theme in these videos recently. Like all of you have just happened to like all of you have met a serial killer. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Hi, Courtney. I posted this in r/creepy encounters and caught a lot of flack for not reporting it, so I would like to address some things up front. I wanted to report it, but my boss gaslit me, tried to rationalize, and told me I likely misheard and was being dramatic. After talking some with her, she said she would handle it. No, I have not seen Dahmer, but I'm familiar with the story. It's not really that similar of a situation other than the foul smell and it coincidentally happening in an apartment complex. And then into the story. 4 years ago, I, 20 female at the time, lived in a college town in Virginia for a few months. I moved there alone from South Carolina. I worked as a pest control technician for a family-owned business, and Fridays were our apartment days. I looked forward to these days because we typically got finished early. I was approaching the last apartment of the day, and as I stepped towards the door, I smelled something foul. I knocked, and there was no answer. Protocol was, if no one answers after the second knock, you use the master key and announce pest control upon entering any part of the apartment, which I did. The smell was so strong I nearly vomited. It reminded me when you pass a dead deer on the road with your window down, but amplified. I tied my flannel around my face in an attempt to suppress the smell, but it didn't help much. There were 5 or 6 large blue and white barrels in the living room part, which was devoid of furniture. All I could do for a second was stand and stare, but eventually I began spraying the baseboards with one hand and my canister and flashlight were in the other. Made my way to the hall, felt eyes in my back, turned around, and he was right behind me. I jumped and said, "You scared me. I'm sorry, I'm with pest control. How are you doing?" He gave me a disingenuous half smile with just his lips. His greasy hair was partially in his face, and he was in only shorts. I'd assumed he had just woken up, but considering the 2 bedrooms, which each also had a barrel, were in front of where I was, so I'm not so sure. I made small talk with him to make things less awkward, but he was very short with me at first. He was tailing me through every corner of every bedroom, and it was reminiscent of when a child breaks something and is trying to divert the parents' attention away from where it happened. He kept reaching for something in his shorts pocket and asking me personal questions about sex, specifically if I had any sexual fantasies, if I liked being tied up, our fantasies, etc. I just laughed as a nervous habit and his demeanor changed, and he kept his head down, eyes wide, and gazed at me with an unsettling stare. I'm assuming he took offense. I made my way back towards the kitchen, and protocol was to move the fridge to check for roaches or roach droppings. I put my gear down and began to wiggle the fridge out of place, which also stank. He slapped his hand on the fridge and grunted, "Nuh-uh." I slapped my glove hand on my pocket and lied. "Oh, I think my boss is trying to call me. Oh well, I don't want to get chemicals on my phone. She parked right outside and knows where I am if she needs me. I'm almost done anyways." He whipped his head towards the door and said, "Oh, must be your lucky day," and backed up. I couldn't help but notice he kept looking at the barrels. I was looping around to the opposite side of the living room past the barrels, and his eyes kept darting back and forth between the barrels and myself. I pretended not to notice. I exited, threw my gear in the back of the truck, and looped around to the other end of the complex where my boss was finishing her last treatment. I told her all about it, and she said her husband had a similar experience the month prior, but no one was home, and he assumed it was a dead animal in the vents, but couldn't find one when he looked. She told me she would handle it, and I don't know if anything ever came out of it. Needless to say, I moved back to South Carolina not long after that encounter. Let's never meet again. I don't think I could get past the smell for one, but like maybe it's something that you're like required to just do. I would not be able to get past the smell, and the barrels would freak me out so bad. I'd be like, I don't care if I lose my fucking job, I'm not going in here. Absolutely not. And then when he started tailing you around, I'd be like this is not worth it. Like, I don't care what job you have, if it's like the greatest job in the world, that is not worth it. To put your life in danger like that, especially when all of these other, no. This next story says, creepy man harassed me at work when I was only 16. Hello, my name's Cal, and we've read a bunch of their stories, but I think most of the stories we've read have been paranormal maybe, or maybe I'm getting people mixed up. I don't know, but I know I've read their stories before. I've got a pretty creepy story for you. It was so bad, I ended up leaving my job for another shortly after this happened. And then they put trigger warning, underage person being harassed, and sexual comments and harassment. They said they don't go into detail, and they hopefully covered everything. Typically, if there's something else in there that I think needs a trigger warning, I'll just say it after I read it and just put the clip in front. You know what I mean? So you're fine. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's move on to some information. Like the title states, I was 16 when this happened. I was also working at the place where dreams go to die, Walmart. I absolutely hated working there, but thankfully this encounter was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, another thing I should mention, I look a few years younger than I actually am. I have a baby face, so even though I was 16, I looked 13. It was during the day when the incident happened. It was a pretty slow day. I had spent most of my shift wandering around, helping where I could. I was already done with everything in my department. I was in the middle of heading back to my area when a man approached me. He was a bit of a creepy dude, but I didn't want to be rude by not helping him, even though everything in me was telling me to walk away. I asked him if he had any idea what he wanted to get his niece. He said he wasn't sure, so I took him to the kids section so we could choose something. While he was browsing, he started asking for my name, if I lived in the city, how old I was, that sort of thing. I obviously wasn't overly keen on providing this information, so I was pretty vague when answering. Other times, I'd completely avoid the question altogether and redirect the conversation to his niece. It was evident he wasn't interested in discussing his niece, so he provided one-worded answers and went right back to his intrusive questioning. He started asking me more personal stuff like if I had a boyfriend, if I'd ever had sex before, etc. Now, I was horrible at communicating when someone crossed a boundary. I hated confrontation, and my managers sucked donkey nuts. They'd give me hell for the stupidest shit, which made me really anxious whenever I had to talk with them. As a result, I did everything I possibly could to avoid talking to them. Anyway, I asked him if there was anything else he needed. I just wanted to hurry and end this whole interaction. But of course, he told me he needed a card and a bag to put the gift in. So I begrudgingly directed him to the card section. All the while, he upped the creep factor and began asking me extremely personal questions. He was now giving me compliments. He would tell me how beautiful I was, how I had such a great looking ass. Keep in mind, I don't look a day over 13. Yet, that didn't seem to stop the creep from making these crude remarks. While he picked out a bag and card, I kept my distance, but I remember he kept giving me, the best I can equate to is bedroom eyes. It made me sick to my stomach, but I figured he would eventually get everything he needed and he'd be on his merry way. He eventually got a card and a bag, and he asked me to lead him to the till, since he didn't know where they were. Obviously he did, but I just sucked it up and directed him to the checkout. When we got within walking distance of a till, I politely excused myself and felt relieved to finally get rid of him. Unfortunately, he ran ahead of me and asked for my number, even going as far as making this horrible comment, "I like my girls nice and young. They can just keep going and going. You and I will have lots of fun." Not the exact word for word thing he said, and nobody needs to hear the real thing he said. That made my skin absolutely crawl. I told him I didn't have a phone. I did, of course, and it was sitting in my vest pocket. He thankfully didn't seem to notice it, but I was beyond paranoid that he'd spot the phone and call me out of my lies. Despite being repeatedly told that I did not have a phone, he kept insisting I give him my number or a social media where he could contact me. Got to the point where I was backing away from him because he'd get so close to me I could smell his breath. Unsurprisingly, he didn't take the hint and kept inching towards me. Want to know the real punch to the gut? I had a couple managers walk past. They definitely saw this guy harassing an underage employee, and they did fuck all to help. I was getting desperate. No one was coming to my aid, which made me feel hopeless on top of it. I thought I would never get rid of this guy. My saving grace was my manager walking through the front door before the creep got handsy with me. My manager was my absolute favorite person. He was pretty intimidating, used to serve in the military. He was also a pretty big fellow, pure muscle, could probably break me in two with one hand, but he was a gentle giant. Whenever customers got rowdy with the employees, he would intervene. It was always hilarious to see people who were red in the face deflate the moment they saw him approaching. I spotted my manager and gave him a look of desperation when he glanced over at me. I can't tell you how relieved I felt when I saw him make a beeline for us. He placed himself in between me and the creepy dude, slapped on his customer service smile, and asked if he could assist the creep since I was supposed to be on my break. I happily took the hint and practically ran to the back of the store. I went to the staff room and was shaking from the adrenaline and on the verge of crying. I was in the staff room for about 20 minutes before my manager called me to the office. He asked if I was okay. I said I was shaken up but fine. He assured me he'd have me working in the back for the next week, just to ensure that if the creep came back looking for me, he wouldn't be able to find me. He then told me the guy kept asking where I went, what my number was, what my name was. My manager told him that he couldn't release that information. My manager literally escorted the guy out of the store and watched him drive away before coming back to talk with me. I never did see the guy again, but then again, I left my previous job shortly after this encounter. I got another offer to work with my best friend at her dad's restaurant after I told her what happened, which I happily took. I admit, I was a little sad to leave, mainly because I really did adore my manager, but my hatred for Walmart and my fear of that dude was ultimately what pushed me to leave. So to the creepy guy who harassed me at my job, let's never meet again. And on the off chance that we do, I owe you a punch to the teeth. Every time I hear like a terrifying retail story, it just takes me back to my Victoria's Secret days. Like, I have never been more harassed in my life. Actually, that's a fucking lie. When I worked at GoDaddy, I was harassed so fucking much, and not even to my face, but it was like more behind my back, and then people would tell me what people were saying. Or like when people accused me of sleeping with my teacher because I got 100 on my test. Like, at GoDaddy, like we had like training like 5 weeks or something, and we had to take a test to see if we would move on to like actually get the job, and I was the only person who got 100, and everyone, like, people thought I was sleeping with the teacher. I was like, what? No. And then someone calling me fresh meat, like, shut up. Oh my god, I hated that job. But retail, working at Victoria's Secret, I had the security guard who was in love with me, which I have a couple videos on that. I think I have like an OG video that I uploaded when I first started my channel talking about that, and then I retold the story because that video was terrible. But I hate retail stories. Oh god, it reminds me of how miserable I was. And it's scary because there's really nothing you can do. You can't like get mad or angry. You can't you can, but then you get in trouble for it, which is crazy. Whatever. Get mad, get angry, yell in people's faces. Don't let people talk to you like that. That's disgusting. And if you lose the job, it wasn't worth it. I know I said I had 4 stories, but that last one, I don't know what happened because I read the first 2 pretty easily. That last one was a struggle, and the 4th story is very long, so I don't think I'm going to be able to read it right now. I will read it in the next video. So that is all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. I have to sneeze so fucking bad. I have been sneezing non-stop though. This is unnecessary. What was I saying? I hope you enjoyed. If you have any other stories you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below. I still have to sneeze. I just sneezed, and I've sneezed like, I'm not kidding, like 20 times. I'm not letting it happen. I know you can die from holding in sneezes, but that's how I want to go. That's how I want to go. I want to die from holding in my sneeze. I'm gonna go though. For real, not die, not death. I'm just gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. I don't think I have anything to tell you. I'm gonna be honest. I know I always say that. Like, that's like my go-to line when I'm rambling is like, I have nothing to tell you, but I really don't think I have anything to tell you. And this time it's for real. And then I always say like, this is for real, and then I think of something. But like, for real, I have nothing. I got nothing. I'll think for a second, but like, I don't know. I really don't know. Dude, I got nothing in my brain. I've been watching House again. Like, is that exciting? I don't know. I've watched House like 10 times, and I am watching it again because I'm horrible at finding new TV shows. I can't get myself to watch a new TV show. I don't know what it is. I know there's so many amazing TV shows out there. I cannot sit down and watch a new one. I have to watch the same ones. So when I'm like on my phone and not paying attention, I watch Bob's Burgers. And then when I'm like actually trying to pay attention, my cats are fighting. When I'm actually trying to pay attention, I watch House. But yeah, that's like, was that exciting for you? Probably not. You probably don't give a shit. So I don't know why I'm telling you that. I just couldn't think of anything else. And now my voice is gone. Okay, I'm gonna go edit this video. It's also my mom's birthday today, which is exciting. I can show you my new shoes. Oh my god, I'll show you my new shoes. Okay, so my mom's easy. For holidays, birthdays, she's easy. My mom is huge into working out. She loves tennis shoes. And so for every birthday, every occasion, we get her tennis shoes because she eats that shit up. She loves it. And so we go to Nike and get her shoes, obviously, and I always look for myself because whenever we're looking for my mom, there's always like a million pairs that are so cute, and I'm like, I'm gonna look at my size, even though I don't really wear like I wear sneakers, that's not what I meant. I wear sneakers, I don't wear like tennis shoes. So I got these, look how cute these are, and I love them. They have like navy on the back. I will wear these so fucking. My sister was like, "You're not gonna wear those." I'm like, "Yes, I will." They're not even my size. They're a size and a half. They're a half a size too big, but they're so cute. I had to get them, and they were on sale. So, anyways, I got those, and it's funny because I was trying them on because they were half size too big. They're not like terribly like large on my feet, but they're a little bit too big. So I was trying one on. And this girl, she was probably like 13 or 14, comes up to me and she goes, "Oh my god, where did you find those?" And I was like, "Oh, I just found them on this wall, whatever." And she was like, "Is there another one? Are you getting them?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get them." She's like, "Are you sure there was another pair? Will you help me find them?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes." So I'm carrying like 4 boxes of shoes because my sister went to the bathroom. We got my mom 3 pairs of shoes. I'm like walking with all my boxes, and I found them for her, and she was so excited. I don't know if they were her size, I don't know, but she was so excited. But yeah, I love them. I think they're so cute. My sister said I won't wear these, but I wear my white Air Forces so much, and I don't really wear like colors that often. I usually wear like neutrals, so if I'm wearing like a white shirt and jeans, this is perfect. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna wear these tonight just to prove her wrong, because we're celebrating my mom's birthday. We're having dinner. So I found fucking something to ramble about. Are you happy? But that was pointless. But yeah, I'm actually gonna go because I have nothing else. I can't think of anything else. And my cats are fighting, and Nar comes to me for comfort and help, which I don't know what I'm supposed to do when it's Weems attacking him, because Weems even scares me. When Rumble attacks Nar, Nar will come to me, and I can protect him from Rumble, because Rumble is scared of me. Not scared of me, like I've never done anything for Rumble to be afraid of me, but Rumble like knows if I'm there, he can't get to him, because I'll be like, "Rumble, back off." But Weems will just start attacking me. Would I rather him attack me or attack Nar? Let's be for real, because it hurts. Weems hurts. I'm scared of Weems. I can admit that, but I'm gonna fucking leave. I'm leaving. Sorry. See ya.